Hey guys, welcome to the Side Startup Club. This video is going to give you hopefully a quick overview of the startup process. Now it's going to be rather theory driven. In the next video, I get to take all these things we learn in this theory driven video and actually apply them to a real life opportunity that I've been working on. But before we can get to that point, we have to understand the theory behind this process. Now I'm going to give you a quick overview of what the process looks like in an ideal world. But keep in mind, this is not a science. It's more of a combination of science and art, so things don't follow this process quite linearly. You start with a problem, and from that problem, you come up with some sort of business idea on how to create value for some target customer. Now, based on that target customer, you need to understand what solutions are already available to them, and you also need to understand different characteristics about the demand side of the market. Once you understand the supply and demand of the market, you need to really define the why me. What makes you stand out from the competition? What is your unique selling point? Once you have this unique selling point, you create a business model around it using the lean business model canvas. And from that lean business model canvas, you are going to analyze the cost versus revenue potential, and that will give you an indication of whether you should pursue the idea or not. And then if you choose to pursue it, you should try to validate this value proposition in some way that's particularly quick and inexpensive that just mitigates the risk a little bit more. Now, this layer of the process is really the core behind everything else that you're going to do, and you're going to want to perfect that first before moving on to these next steps. These next steps are really planning out the operations side of things, who's doing what, when, the administration side of things, how are the wheels turning, who's doing the bookkeeping, what are the logistics behind it all, and the marketing plan. Specifically, how are you going to market this, and how are you going to execute that marketing plan? Are you going to hire someone? Are you going to do it yourself, etc.? Once you have all that plan in place, you can create a finance plan, and you'll determine whether you need seed investors or venture capitalists, or if you can do this without any investment at all. And once you have those two plans, you can put together a detailed launch plan. This is where you say month by month what you're going to be doing, week by week what needs to take place. When you put all these things together, you end up with a pitch deck. Now, you really only need to do this if you are going to approach some investors, but a pitch deck can be good for various other reasons as well. Not going to get into them now, but if you choose to go the fundraising route, this is where you'd approach the investors, and then you would do a product launch. This might be a minimal viable product, or depending on the nature of your business and whether you have investors, this might be a full-blown launch. As I said, this is very theory driven, and nothing in life goes exactly according to theory, especially in the startup world. So this is what it's going to look like in real life as you go throughout this process in the Side Startup Club. You have some great, amazing, beautiful idea that's going to make you billions of dollars. Next, you're going to go through this process in iterations. This is the market research all the way to the idea validation. This is basically what we call business model development, and it's what you'll spend most of your time trying to nail down. Once you finally complete a few iterations of this, and you certainly have a value proposition that you have tested and you know it's going to work, then you go on to the other steps that I just listed. Those tend to happen in somewhat of a linear process. But like I said, the core of what we do in the Side Startup Club is going to revolve around this business model development. The first iteration that you do of it should take a few hours. The second iteration might take a few weeks, and the final iteration might take you a month, 2 months, 3 months. It depends on the nature of your business, of course. So now that we know that we're going to be really focused on this business model development side of the process, what the hell does business model development mean? We're going to be using this word quite a bit, so I thought we better take a step back and make sure we really understand what this phrase business model development means. Now, it's when you bring benefit to somebody's life, usually by solving a problem, but not necessarily, and you create this value. And you combine this value creation with a strategy that delivers it to as many people as possible at an economical rate. And those things together are what make up your business model. So it's how you create, deliver, and capture value. So it's this lean business model canvas that we're constantly going to be focusing on. It's what's going to be crushing your idea to the floor, and then together we'll brainstorm and build it back up by modifying some of these different elements and saying, what if you do this? What if you do that? At the very core, and rightfully so at the center of the lean business model canvas, is the value proposition. So before I finish this video, I also want to take one step back and really think about, what does value mean? How do you define value? This is the heart of the business model, so we want to take our time and really understand this. Now, there's different ways to go about articulating what value means, but I chose to use this rather graphical scientific explanation to measure value in terms of benefit and price. Now, every product, whether it's wine of the month, whether it's a taxi ride, whether it's renting a jet ski, there's some sort of benefit or willingness to pay for that product and service. Now, for every person, that perceived benefit is different, but there is some sort of average, intangible perceived benefit to every product. And of course, every product or service has a price that's quite tangible. It's this space in between the perceived benefit and the price that is the value created to the customer. And this is what we need to be obsessed with and try to really validate if we are creating this green space with our business idea. Now, real quickly, there's 3 ways to increase this value created. You can pull this line to the right by increasing the performance, and this can entail various things that can improve the overall performance of a product or benefit. Or you can pull this line to the left, which means you're decreasing the price. Hopefully that also means you're decreasing the cost. And the third way is simply to have better advertising and sales. And this is why we use the phrase perceived benefit instead of real benefit. Because simply having better advertising and being a better salesperson is a way to increase value. Now, unfortunately, in today's world, creating value is not necessarily enough to become a multimillionaire because we live in a competitive world. The original taxi service provided a value, let's say, of $20 to get across town. Perhaps it's in the heart of winter, so you really want to have that taxi ride, and they're going to charge $15. So you say, you know what, it's worth $20 to me, I'll pay $15. They created $5 of value to your life. But now, since 2009, Uber's entered the market. Now, Uber has an added performance to it. They have this GPS functionality where that taxi will come right to your door. So now it's providing even more benefit than the original taxi service because I don't have to go stand on the corner and holler at taxis as they drive by. Also, through this peer-to-peer sourcing strategy, they were able to significantly reduce the traditional price point of $15 down to $10. So now Uber has this massive value created, which is why they're a $57 billion company. and that is just so much significantly higher than the taxi company that it doesn't really matter that the taxi company is still providing value relative to the competition. They're not providing enough value, which is where we start to get into market research and so forth. But for now, we're going to stop our theory here, and in the next video we're going to apply everything we learned here, from value to business model development, to an opportunity that I recently came by when I moved to Mexico and found it extremely stressful and time consuming and difficult to find an apartment here. So I thought, you know what if we take an apartments.com type of business model and in some form apply that to the Mexico market? So stay tuned for the next video so that you can see this theory actually practiced, and I'll see you there.